morning, modern witches. Welcome back to Lupin Hollow. I'm the Witch of Lupin Hollow, and I'm your host. So today we're talking about what Virgo season means for you. So Virgo season started a couple of days ago, and this is the time of year when the sun moves into Virgo. So the sun moves through all 12 zodiac signs basically about once a month. And the sun usually moves into a new sign around like the 20th to 24th of the month, like somewhere in there. And then we spend the next month in that season. And so, although there's lots of other things happening in the sky, I think it's really powerful to kind of live in flow with the zodiac seasons. Virgo takes us basically from summer to fall. Virgo is the transition. And so today we're going to talk about what that season means for you and kind of what Virgo means, how it shows up for you, and how you can live in flow with these seasons. For starters, I want to talk about the difference between what's going on in the sky and what astrology really means to you personally. So you might hear people talk about things like, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, or, the sun is in Virgo, or, Venus is transiting my sixth house right now. So if you don't know what any of that means, there's kind of three layers. So one of the astrologers that I like to work with, the Wild Witch of the West, she explained to me kind of how astrology works in layers. So there's three layers. Okay, so there's the transits, there's the planetary transits, which is what's going on in the sky right now. So that's the sun being in Virgo or Mercury being retrograde, those kinds of phrases that you might hear on the internet, right? The second layer is your own natal chart. So that's, when you say that your sun sign is Virgo, that's your natal chart. Or when you know what your moon or rising sign is, all your natal chart. The third layer is when you combine the first two layers, when you look at what's going on in the sky compared to your chart and how it's affecting it. When you look at the planetary transits, sure, Mercury's in retrograde, and to a certain extent, that's going to affect everyone, right? Or the sun is in Virgo, and that's going to affect everyone. But it's much more powerful to look at it in terms of your own chart. So, if you can do your natal chart and then do your planetary transits, you can really start to learn, what Mercury in retrograde means for you on a much more intimate level, or what the sun in Virgo means. Your personal planetary transits are where the current planets are showing up in your own chart. So, for example, if you have your moon in Virgo in your natal chart, and the sun is currently in Virgo, then at some point during the month, the sun, the current sun, is going to be conjunct or directly in alignment with your own natal moon in Virgo. So the sun and moon are going to be conjunct. So that's going to really light up your moon. That's going to really pull out those qualities in you at that time. Now that's going to be a short transit, right? Because the sun will move past your natal moon pretty quickly, because it's only in Virgo for a month. Sometimes planetary transits last for months, and those are with the slower moving planets. So like Chiron, Neptune, Pluto, planets like that, they might be in a transit with you for months at a time. So for example, right now, my moon is square Saturn, like the current Saturn. So Saturn moves pretty slowly, so that's lasting for, I think it's like 4 or 5 months. And so those are themes that are coming up for me, is what it means when, Saturn and moon are square. The themes that brings up are going to be themes that I'm experiencing in my life right now. Really, to get the most out of today's video, you're going to want to go do your natal chart so that you can look at the transits and really understand, how does this work and what does Virgo season in particular mean for me. So there's a link below this video where you can do your natal chart. And then I would also encourage you to, go find a way to do your planetary transits or to do a chart of the moment, which is kind of the sky right now, and then you can compare the two. If you have any difficulty with that, don't hesitate to send me a message, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. So when you're looking at transits, there's a couple of things that you want to look at. So first, you want to look at, the sun is in Virgo. Now, do you have any planets in Virgo? Because if you do, then at some point during the month, the sun is going to be conjunct each of those planets. So, if you have the moon at 5 degrees and Neptune at 6 degrees and Venus at 20 degrees, then at different points throughout the month, the sun is going to be conjunct your moon, your Neptune, and your Venus. And those are going to be themes that are going to come up for you. So number one, you want to look at, do you have any planets in Virgo, and see, at what point during the month is the sun going to be in those degrees of Virgo, so you can see which days, the sun's going to be conjunct your different planets. Now, if you don't have any planets in Virgo, that's totally okay. You're still going to be able to get a lot out of this video and out of Virgo season. The next thing that you're going to want to look at is, which house do you have Virgo in? So although you may not have any planets in Virgo, we all have Virgo somewhere in our charts. So we all have Virgo somewhere in our charts. This is what I love about astrology and really reading a chart holistically, is you get to see the way that the 12 signs work together. So each of the 12 signs shows up in every single person's chart, regardless of whether you have any planets in it, because depending on how you read the chart, you have one house, most likely, that's ruled by every single sign. So you're going to have any one of the 12 houses show up in Virgo. So, for example, I have my first house in Virgo, which means that, Virgo really affects my sense of self and identity. Each house rules a different area of life. And so wherever Virgo shows up for you is where you're going to feel the most detail-oriented, where you're going to feel the most like a healer, where those Virgo qualities are going to come out the most in you, especially if you don't have any planets in Virgo, because that house is going to be your main expression of Virgo. The other part of this, the extra layer, is that each one of the houses, 1 through 12, is ruled by a sign naturally. So, for example, the first house is naturally ruled by Aries. So anything that you have in the first house is always going to have a certain amount of Aries energy to it. Aries is about identity and sense of self. But then you have that house ruled by whatever sign it is in your chart. So like I said, in my chart, the first house is ruled by Virgo. So there's a certain amount of Aries energy and more Virgo energy in the first house. So Virgo naturally rules the 6th house. So if you have the 6th house in Virgo, then it would be really amplified and very Virgo energy. But most people don't have the houses in their natural rulerships, only about a 12th of the population. So you want to look and see which sign your 6th house is in. To recap here, we're going to look at, which planets you have in Virgo, if any. We're going to look at which house you have Virgo in. And we're going to look at what sign your 6th house, which is naturally ruled by Virgo, which sign that house is in. So you're going to look at 3 things in your chart. Some of these are transits and some of these are natal. Okay, we're looking at where Virgo shows up for you personally, and then we're looking at how Virgo season this year is affecting you. Your planets in Virgo that are going to be conjunct to the sun at some point during this month, those are going to be especially lit up. Those planets are going to really come through for you this month. Your Virgo is probably really going to come through for you this month, because that sun in Virgo is just really shining a spotlight on those planets. So, for example, I don't have any planets in Virgo, but I do have my ascendant in Virgo. So that Virgo energy, that detail-orientedness, that need for healing others and giving service to others, that energy is really going to come up for me during Virgo season, because my rising sign, a huge part of who I am, is in Virgo. To give you a little overview of what this could mean for all the different planets, for your moon, it's going to bring up more emotions for you. You're going to feel more emotional, more intuitive, more in flow, and especially in a Virgo way, right? Especially in a detail-oriented way. You're going to really want to be healing through emotions. It might also be a great time to do shadow work, because you're going to be able to heal your own emotion. If you have Mercury in Virgo and the sun is going to light that up, it's going to be a great time for you for communication. It'll be a great time to write, to really express your thoughts, to express yourself in a technical way, to get to the details, to get to the root of something. If you have Venus in Virgo, and the sun is lighting up that energy for you, Venus is all about beauty and aesthetics and the way you express yourself. And so if the sun is lighting that up, then it could be a good time for romance. It could also be a good time for, some sort of creative expression. If you have Mars in Virgo and the sun is lighting up that energy, then this is going to be a really passionate time for you. It's going to be a really exciting time. Mars in Virgo is about taking really strategic action. Virgo loves strategy and planning. And so, this is going to be a great time for taking those actions, because when the sun is conjunct your Mars, it's going to be time for activity. It's going to be time for making plans and then taking action on them. If you have your Jupiter in Virgo and the sun is lighting that up for you this month, then this is going to be all about expansion, about knowledge and wisdom and learning. It's going to be about your spirituality. Maybe you're going to be introducing new structures and making new plans for your spiritual path, things like that. If you have Saturn in Virgo, Saturn and Virgo are kind of buddies. Saturn really likes structure, and so does Virgo. They both really like planning and strategy. So if you have Saturn in Virgo and that's coming up for you this month, this is going to be a good time to, again, make plans, but especially in terms of your career, in terms of work and ambition. If you have Uranus in Virgo, then, the sun is going to be lighting up really a need for change and a need to make plans for change. Virgo really loves planning, loves strategy, loves ideas, and Uranus is about rebellion and making changes, doing things differently. So, Virgo in Uranus is really going to be lit up if you have that placement this month with the sun coming conjunct with your Uranus. Think about, where do you need change in your life, and what strategies can you put in place to make those changes happen? Next is Neptune, of course. So, if you have Neptune in Virgo, then this is going to be about mystery and illusion and kind of finding ways to unveil those, to get deeper in tune with your spirituality. It's really about wisdom and, the mysteries of life and spirituality. So your Virgo there is going to feel really, really nourished, I think. Your Neptune in Virgo is going to really feel like it's time to make plans for your spirituality, but in a more kind of earthy and watery way, to really embrace your feminine and intuitive side, and to put some structures and strategies in place to maintain that feeling in your spiritual path. If you have Pluto in Virgo and the sun's going to be conjunct that this month, this is really going to be all about uncovering secrets in a really methodical way and really doing the healing shadow work to heal, whatever comes up because of those secrets being revealed. Pluto loves secrets, and Virgo really loves healing them. Virgo loves doing that healing work to help you and to help others to kind of traverse the path to, becoming a better version of yourself without those secrets, with things out in the open. So that's sort of the transits part of this, right? What Virgo season could mean for you if you have planets in Virgo. The other part, of course, is just to look at your own natal chart and to kind of understand what Virgo means to you personally. First one, of course, was to see what house you have Virgo in. Depending on what house you have this sign in, that's going to be kind of activated by the sun in Virgo this month, by Virgo season. Depending which house it is, you're going to feel really drawn to, make strategies and plans in that area of life. So, first house is sense of self and identity. Second house is possessions and finances. Third house is communication. Fourth house is home, family, intuition. Fifth house is creativity, play, self-expression. Sixth house is the house of Virgo, so the house of work and service and plans, and healing as well. The seventh house is the house of partnerships. The eighth house is the house of the witch. This house is all about witchcraft and magic and sex and death and taboos. The ninth house is the house of spirituality and knowledge and wisdom. The 10th house is the house of career and ambition. The 11th house is the house of change, rebellion, and the house of astrology. And the 12th house is the house of secrets, of mysteries, your spirituality, but on a really deep, really intimate level. The 12th house is about shadow work. So depending on which one of those houses you have Virgo showing up in is where you're going to feel this Virgo energy coming out. So like if you have Virgo in the second house, during Virgo season, you're going to want to really focus on, getting detailed with your finances, really putting those strategies into place so that you can save for a big project or something like that. And finally, the last piece that I want you to look at for Virgo season is which sign and if you have any planets in the sixth house. So like I said, the sixth house is the house of work and service. Whichever sign and whichever planets you have in the sixth house are going to be activated this month too. They're going to feel really nourishing and powerful, and having that service to others, being really fulfilled by your work. Those are going to be really powerful things that you need to really make sure are happening in your life. And you're going to be able to look to that sign and those planets to kind of understand the work you need to do to be able to get there. Now, the other element of Virgo, just as a kind of an aside, is Virgo is also really about sacredness. Virgo is one of the priestess archetypes. The symbol of Virgo is the Virgin. And so Virgo also asks you, where are you making sacred space in your life? Where are you allowing room for sacredness? Where are you being the priestess in your life, whether in terms of your spiritual path or something else, maybe also in terms of your service to others. So think about that sacredness aspect, and how is the sun in Virgo really lighting that up for you this month? How is Virgo season bringing out your inner priestess? So comment below. Tell me if you have any planets in Virgo, which sign you have in the sixth house, and which house you have Virgo in. Let me know if you have any questions about how all of this works. I would love to chat with you about your personal Virgo season and how that's going to show up for you, and how you're really getting in touch with your inner priestess. Make sure that you follow the channel so that you can be notified whenever I put out a new video. All right, I will see you next week, and happy Virgo season.